Good morning. Thanks for coming this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Hey. Thank you very much. My partner in crime is here today, Steve Wozniak. Stand up. Come on. Well, thank you for coming. We've got some really cool stuff to show you this morning. And so I first wanted to start with a update of Apple Retail. You've all seen our Fifth Avenue store, but we've been opening some amazing stores lately, and I wanted to just fill you in on 3 of them. The first one is in Paris. It's our second store in Paris. Our first was in the Louvre. This is near the old Opera House, and it's this beautiful old building that we've restored and made a gorgeous store in. It's got a great skylight, and it's just a fantastic building. We spent 18 months restoring it, and here it is with people in it. And it's just a fantastic store, and Apple users in Paris are loving it. So we're really excited about our new Paris store. We're also really excited about our second store in China, which we opened recently in Shanghai. It is a 40-foot high glass cylinder. These are all curved pieces of glass, single pieces 40 feet high. It's kind of a landmark in glass engineering. And it's a fantastic store. Here it is from the front, and here it is down in the store. And here it is with people in it. And this was opening day, and here it is in the greater environment of Shanghai, and it's really a fantastic location, and we think it's going to do really well. So our second store in China. The third big store we've opened recently has been in London. We got the whole building here right in Covent Garden. And we've got another large store on Regent Street, but this is our second really large store in London. And it's a beautiful old building that we've restored right in the heart of Covent Garden. And it's fantastic. A lot of restoration was required, but it's a beautiful store now. And you can see the old and the new together work beautifully. And here it is with people. And so this is open, and it's been a great success so far. All 3 of these stores have been. And we now have 300 Apple Retail stores. Matter of fact, Covent Garden was our 300th store we've opened. And some of us remembered when we opened our first one, and wow, we've come a long ways. 300 stores now. And we're in 10 countries, 10 different countries. We're soon going to open our first store in Spain and make it 11. Now, remember when Macworld used to get 30,000 people coming to it here in San Francisco? Well, we've got single days in our stores now where over 1 million people visit. Not every day, but we are now poking through 1 million visitors a day, several days a month. So that's amazing to me. We teach one-on-one classes, especially to people that are new to Mac. And we are now teaching 80,000 of those one-to-one classes a week in our stores. And of all the folks buying Macs, over half are buying their first Mac. So our stores are bringing a lot of new users into the Mac family. So that's a brief update on our retail operations, but things are going well. Now, I want to talk about iOS. iOS is our operating system that powers our mobile devices, and it's been a revolution in both touch and apps. Touch user interfaces were completely different before the iPhone. And mobile applications were completely different before the iPhone. It's been a revolution in both of them. And for us, it's made these three products possible: the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and now the iPad. So, how many iOS devices have we shipped since we launched the phone just a few years ago? 120 million. 120 million. Now, people are throwing around a lot of numbers as to how many of their operating systems they're activating per day. We are activating a little over 230,000 iOS devices per day, and that's new activations. We think some of our friends are counting upgrades in their numbers. If we counted upgrades in our numbers, they'd be way higher than 230,000. But we think the most appropriate way to count them is just new activations, 230,000. And we think we're ahead of everybody. And the App Store, iOS apps, over 6.5 billion apps now on the App Store. And that is 200 apps every second are being downloaded. 200 apps every second. Woo, there's another 200. It's incredible. So, 6.5 billion apps have been downloaded from the App Store. Amazing. We've got over 250,000 apps on the store, and of those 250,000, 25,000 of them are now iPad apps. So the iPad apps are just going like this. Today, we're introducing iOS 4.1, the next release of iOS. And it's got some really cool stuff in it. So let me go through what it's got. First of all, a lot of bugs have been fixed. Proximity sensor bugs, Bluetooth bugs, iPhone 3G performance bugs, all the bugs that we get mails on. We think we've nailed a lot of them, and we think you're going to be pretty happy with it. Secondly, we've added a really cool thing called HDR photos, high dynamic range photos, and I'll explain that in a minute. But that's going to be standard in iOS 4.1. The ability to upload HD video over Wi-Fi to YouTube and other places built into 4.1. TV show rentals in addition to purchases. And Game Center is now making its debut for end users. We think this is going to be a pretty big deal, too. So let's start off with high dynamic range photos. What are high dynamic range photos? Well, when we take a photo, a lot of times we get it where it's blown out with light. You see it washed out with this bright light coming in over the building there. Well, when you turn on HDR, just by tapping on that button there, when you take a photo, it actually takes 3 photos in rapid succession. It takes one normal exposure, what it thinks is the appropriate exposure, and then one that's underexposed and one that's overexposed. And it combines these 3 with some pretty sophisticated algorithms to produce an HDR photo. And it's pretty amazing. And we keep both the normal photo and the HDR photo in the Photos app. So you can just compare the 2 of them and use the one you like. But it's really remarkable in some photos. And let me show you a few other examples. Here's another one where you can see how HDR has pulled out the sky and pulled out the detail in the foreground. Here's another one where you can see it's trying to pull out the shadow in the background. You can see her legs pulling them out of the shadows as well. Take a look at this one. You can't even see the pavement, the one on the left. And look at how it's pulled all that out from the one on the right. And one final one, again, you can see the sky and a lot more detail in the background using HDR. So for some photos, it's pretty great. And it's built into iOS 4.1. Another thing we've built in is Game Center.